talk about tips and tricks to help you promote your vegan business. Today's guest is Sandra Nomoto. Sandra is a content writer and a marketing consultant and editor who's also written a book about vegan marketing entitled Vegan Marketing Success Stories. Today, Sandra will be sharing her marketing expertise and will also tell us more about her book. Welcome, Sandra, to the Vegan Marketing Podcast.
Thank you so much. It's my absolute pleasure to be here.
So perhaps we could start by talking about veganism and your journey to becoming vegan.
Sure. So my journey started at the end of 2007 when I saw a screening of Earthlings, a very impactful film most of the vegan listeners will know about. That just really kickstarted it all. So it took me a few years to cut meat out of my diet. And then for a good number of years, I was still technically pescatarian. So every now and then I would eat seafood and maybe some eggs, but I was never huge fan of either of those foods. And during the week, I would cook either vegetarian or vegan. When my husband and I went on our honeymoon in New York City in 2017, I ate the best seafood meal of my life at our Iron Chef Morimoto's restaurant. And I said, you know what? It's not going to get any better than this. So I may as well leave on a high note. And always thinking about, vegan being the goal after all these years. And so that was my last seafood meal. And then from there, I was still eating dairy, pizza and ice cream are some of my favorite foods. And so a year later, I found myself taking a food sensitivity test because for many, many years, I've had this undiagnosed digestive condition. It involves just a lot of pain in sort of my stomach or chest area. And never really had any answers after doing many, many tests. So my naturopath advised me to take a food sensitivity test, and I found out I was sensitive to dairy, which I later learned most people of color are. She said, do a 4-month cleanse, take all of these foods out of your diet, and then incorporate them back in to see if they're the cause of your triggers. And so after these 4 months without dairy, I thought to myself, well, I've always wanted to be here. Vegan was always the goal. I can do dairy. If I can do dairy without dairy for 4 months, I can do it forever. And so spring 2018 is sort of the date that I count from. So, which is almost 5 years now. And of course, after doing diet, everything else became a lot easier to not purchase animal products. So that's my story.
Yeah, no, I can understand the link because you start with the food, then you think about what you're wearing, don't you? And it's a very natural progression to other areas of your life.
Yes.
And it comes to makeup, and you realise how often animals are involved in so many other products that you use that you wouldn't necessarily associate with food.
Absolutely.
So after being such a big fish fan, do you have any kind of affinity to vegan fish kind of alternatives, or what sort of foods do you now like that you're vegan, or do you still kind of like the same foods that you used to like before?
Yeah, you know what? I was never a huge fan of seafood. I was really, I think maybe I ate fish and chips mostly, which is really junk food. It's fried food.
It's so popular
In terms
here.
of I would say, my diet is mostly whole food, plant-based during the week. And then weekends, I might go out to eat or order in, which is, not as healthy, but that's my diet now. I actually don't eat too many of the plant-based alternatives. So every now and then I might throw in a sausage, into my dish. I actually don't, consume a lot of those. I know that they're, where I'm from in Vancouver, we do have kind of the vegan shrimp and the Gardein, has those like fish sticks you stick, or faux fish sticks you stick in the toaster. But I actually don't eat too many of those products.
Mm-hmm. And how did you find the connection between what your kind of ethical beliefs and your work? So how did the crossover happen between the veganism and your work?
Yeah, so incorporating my personal values into my business is not new to me. So my previous business, I ran a PR agency, and we really wanted to work primarily with socially or environmentally responsible businesses. And so after closing that business, that was around the time I went vegan, and I was exploring different careers for about a year and a half, and then sat down to meditate at the end of 2019, and my intuition just gave me that big hit and said, you're going to be a writer for the rest of your life, and you're a vegan now. So put those two things together. And so that's how my current business as the content doctor came together at the start of 2020. I just started, yeah, I just threw a service page up on my website and told everybody I knew, hey, I'm looking to work with more vegan businesses who need help with the written content. And that's really how this was born. And I feel really fortunate to, yeah, to 2 years after that, I really put my stake in the ground, as they say, to say that on the business front, I will only work with cruelty-free businesses. For authors, I'm a little bit more flexible. Obviously, I'd love to work with vegan authors. And I've worked with one now, which is great. But yeah, I'm open to working with anyone, just so I can continue building my experience there, and hopefully down the line, I'll be able to make that same commitment on the author side as well.
Yeah, no, that's really great to be able to kind of be passionate about something and then kind of, follow that along in your work as well as much as you can. So I think
Yeah.
that's such a positive thing. So do you have anything particularly interesting you're working on at the moment? Obviously, you have your book, but any other projects that are particularly of note that you can tell us about?
Nothing too exciting right now. I'm getting ready to kind of revamp my service list and launch a few new things. I'm working on yeah, I finished editing and formatting a book, which yeah, should be coming out soon. Um, but let me think. Yeah, for a while, late 2022, I was working with Bread, which is a plant-based bakery in Whistler. And Whistler is a sort of a snow sports town, about 2 hours
Yes.
drive north of Vancouver. And some of your listeners may know Natasha and Ed Tatton, who are vegan themselves. They're so amazing. They're amazing founders, and yeah, it's been great to work with them on some of their content.
Mm. Oh, fantastic. So your experience kind of ranges from quite a broad aspect of marketing, say PR and then content writing and then, sort of social media as well. So do you do you have any kind of like mistakes that you see businesses making regularly that you often advise them on?
I mean, yeah, it's different for every company, of course, and just from what I see when I scroll, various social, social my social feeds, what I see is either a lot of spelling or grammar mistakes, or there's either no written description for the video that they post, or it's too long. It's, yeah,
Okay.
either there's nothing there or it's too long. And
Okay.
I don't think, maybe you'll think too long is not necessarily a mistake, because it's good to have text in there. It's better than having no text. But yeah, I just think, we have about 2 seconds to look at something before we scroll away. And so the longer you make a message, the more your consumer has, the less time they have to take it all in. And so that's why I think you can be effective if you keep your written messages short, and you can still pack in the keywords that you need, either through hashtags or just a lot of networks are already using just the text that you put in as a way that you can be found. And so that's what I see when I
Okay.
scroll my feeds.
So using keywords in your content
Yeah.
so that you can be found in searches and being short and punchy so that people
Yes.
can kind of get the message because you have 2 seconds. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's just no time
That's the
at all.
world we live in now. Yeah.
What
two
attention span.
seconds.
Crikey. So do you, I mean, you've given us some tips there for our fellow vegan business owners, but are there any other tips that you can recommend that are easy for business owners to kind of implement?
Yeah, when I work with clients, I always look at their basics, right? the four basics I say are your website. And, I've seen businesses start on Instagram. They start their companies on Instagram. They've got no website. And that may work for them for some time, but you never want to rely on somebody else's platform for your business, right? So I always say have a website with your company name as domain. That's your digital home. Of course, we've already talked about social media. Be on at least one or two platforms where your audience is, your ideal consumer is. Have a blog. I know that's not very exciting to people, but again, that's where you build that text content with keywords, and that's how you get found on search engines like Google. So you cannot neglect a blog on your website, and then an email list, because again, as much of a following as you might have on social media, you never know when any of these platforms may go down for a day, or their algorithm changes and you're not being seen organically as much by your audience. That email list is there for you to have another touch point and way to nurture your audience. And so I say those are my four basics that you can, any business I think can improve on. And then from there, you can always look at more paid tactics, or tactics that will just add more time to your to your marketing strategy.
Yeah. No, that's really good, solid advice for a good foundation. And I think, if every business did that, they would just make sure they have their data accessible to them. That's the key thing, isn't it? To make sure that the data is yours and not belonging to another platform.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, moving on now to your book, how did you kind of become inspired to write your book? Obviously, you're in this world of marketing, and then veganism is becoming very popular. And so what made you want to put together veganism and then vegan marketing?
Yeah, so it all started with an intuitive reading I had around the time of my birthday in spring 2021. So this intuitive said, your spirit guides are saying you're going to write a book. And I went, what? Okay. And just, yeah, so a few months down after that, I just started thinking about what I could possibly write about. I had self-published one book before, so I know about that process. And so, yeah, so I thought about marketing in the vegan industry. And so I did some Googling that summer and found there's really only one book out there about vegan business, and that's Katrina Fox's Vegan Ventures. And so of course I bought her book, and I was so inspired by it. She did exactly the type of book that I was thinking of doing, which is involving case studies of existing vegan businesses. And she was really that model and that inspiration. I said, if she can do it, I can do it too. And mine will be the second business book in this industry. Because of course there's so many other types of vegan books, cookbooks, why to go vegan, medical books, or health related, but nobody's really covering what's going on in the industry or for business. So yeah, that really just gave me the motivation to write it. And by the end of September 2021, I started sending out my first round of emails requesting case studies and stories. And by early 2022, the manuscript was complete. It wrote itself.
And you contacted a lot of businesses, didn't you? You sent a lot of emails.
Yeah. So my idea was, if I want to get 50 case studies, I should probably reach out to about 200 businesses. So that's how long the original list was. But if I didn't hear back from a business, after following up, or they said no to the opportunity, I just kept contacting more. And so that initial list actually ended up being 280 businesses almost. And in the end, I got 47 stories back. So I almost hit that 50. But what I decided to do, because I found that there were gaps in sort of the tactics that I talked about, I wanted at least one example for each tactic. And so I just pulled more online and got permission to use some of these other stories that I included. So in the end, the book has a total of about 100 vegan businesses mentioned in it, even though there were only technically 47 contributing businesses.
Fantastic. Well, it's nice to have that many stories about that many businesses, and it's just really exciting for the industry.
Yeah, I can tell you that first week of sending those emails out was the most nerve wracking. I'm like, does anybody even care about this? And I got when I got the first one back, I went, okay, I breathed that sigh of relief a bit, and said, all right, one person submitted something, so 49 left. So yeah,
Only
so it
49
really
to
gave
go.
me those first few really gave me that boost of confidence that yeah, I can complete this book.
Yeah, fantastic. Um, so what will the book bring to vegan business owners? Why should they buy it?
So yeah, like I said, this is the first vegan marketing book in the world. If you're vegan, you're interested in either running a business or learning more about marketing, this is for you. It's also for non-vegans. So if yeah, you're just curious about what's going on in the industry and some of the businesses that are included, you'll get a good range of them. Like I said, there's about 100 in there. But it's just like any other marketing book, I would say, specifically targeted to small to medium sized businesses, because even though I did invite a lot of the bigger corporations, none of them did submit. So yeah, this is very much for the startup founder or, marketer of small to medium sized businesses. But yeah, anybody can read it, and just the only difference is all of the stories that you're hearing from and the examples that you're learning from are of vegan businesses.
Mm. And it's very thorough. So it goes through all aspects of marketing, doesn't it? So it covers every aspect. It's very thorough, and it's got
Yeah.
examples for every type of strategy and tactic.
Yes, that's what I tried to do. I really wanted to show the gamut of what's been done in terms of marketing. A lot of the traditional advertising tactics that we used to use, decades ago. You can still use those, but of course, I included more of the digital marketing is the biggest chapter. So that just tells you a lot of that those are the tactics that most vegan businesses are using today. Yeah, I just wanted to throw everything that I knew and that I gleaned from from the businesses in there. And I'm not going to claim, 10 years down the road, all of these tactics are still going to be applicable or the same, but at least it gives you a glimpse of what folks are using in 2021 and 2022.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And do you have any particular stories that kind of stood out to you that you thought were quite interesting or innovative?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so many. They're all different, right? But a few that come to mind are Meredith Marin from Vegan Hospitality. That's her business. So she's an American who found herself in Aruba in 2016. So her and her husband relocated there where he's originally from. And as a vegan living in Aruba, she did not find herself with very many options at the time. So very little options in grocery stores and also at restaurants. And so she really took it upon herself to veganize this island almost, like so yeah, she started with just talking with chefs at these restaurants and saying, hey, can you make a vegan dish for me? And also, she started the accounts for vegan Aruba, so that would attract more travelers coming to Aruba and who might want to know, yeah, which restaurants have vegan dishes. And she really started there, and of course, because of the demand from restaurants, that brought in more of these options to supermarkets. And so not only did she just make a huge change there with their supply chain, she really talked about veganism and the importance of it everywhere she could. So from local media to travel magazines that were in every hotel room and on the back of every airline seat going to Aruba. She taught vegan cooking classes. So after a number of years, Happy Cow, so the app Happy Cow, which helps people, locate vegan restaurants and such, named Aruba the most vegan friendly island in the Caribbean. And so that's really all due to, what
One
Meredith
person.
started and the community that she built around this island. I don't think she has since moved back to the US, but yeah, so her company, Vegan Hospitality, now teaches that same model for anybody who wants to do the same thing in where they live, or maybe where they're traveling to. So just, yeah, what an amazing impact, she's had. I love telling that story. And the other one that comes to mind is Goddess Garden, which is a beauty company very well known for their organic products. So their organic sunscreen specifically. And the CEO, Nova Covington, started a nonprofit organization maybe earlier than 2015. I don't know the exact year, but she found herself that year participating in a Reef Safe campaign where they were campaigning and petitioning to remove two common sunscreen chemicals, or banning them in the state of Hawaii because of, as you know, there's a lot of coral in that state, and these chemicals are known to be very damaging to the coral. And so the funny thing is, Goddess Garden was never selling in Hawaii, but they were the only sunscreen company that decided to get involved in this campaign. And so, over a number of years, through media outreach, they collected nearly 60,000 signatures in this electronic petition campaign. And then because of that, they announced that these two chemicals would be banned. So this is around 2018 when the governor, arrived, or not arrived, he's already there. He made the announcement that these chemicals would be banned. And so Nova, the CEO, flew there for that announcement. And when they met, he said, "Oh, so you're the one who crashed my server." so so it was really, really amazing to hear that they had that impact in that state office. And that's really all due to Goddess Garden's efforts. So it was a really amazing campaign.
And they weren't even selling their product in Hawaii at the time.
No,
And
I
they
hope
had
they are
such
now.
yeah, because I mean, such brand recognition. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Well, I might just have a look and see if I can book a flight to Aruba, because I think it might be the place I'd like to go on holiday.
Right? Yeah,
If
I
it's
know
the
everybody's got to go there now.
That's a really nice story. It's really encouraging. And it's so nice to hear of somewhere that's got loads and loads of vegan restaurants and opportunities. So
Yeah, yeah.
so what's so you self-published the book, which I think is really interesting. So how did you find that experience?
Well, I had an idea of the process because I self-published my first book as well. I did think about going the traditional route. There are some book publishing companies that do focus on vegan stories, but just my intuition told me, if you want full creative control over this project, that this is the way to go. And so initially I was going to go with Ingram Spark, which is the most popular self-publishing platform out there. But I discovered they don't use vegan ink. And so that was sort of a deal breaker for me. And I really wanted my book to be vegan. So I ended up going with a platform called Lulu. They've been around for a long time, and they distribute on all the other sites like Amazon. And so, I had a really good experience on that platform. And then I'm also selling with a number of other retailers for the paperback copy. The process
Great.
wasn't new to me, but but I did go with a different platform. Whereas my first book, I only published through Amazon. So that was the difference with this one. And then I also did not only an ebook, but an audiobook. And that's an interesting process because I found there's no way I can narrate this book. I wish I could, but I'm going to have to hire a vegan narrator. And so, she just did a great job. And I learned that you also need some help with sound engineering because your audio files have to be a certain way when you upload to Audible. And so luckily I found a vegan sound engineer to help me. So that audiobook came together too.
So your book is available in audio format and on Amazon and on your website and in printed format as well.
That's correct. Yeah. My website has all of the different links where you can buy them. Ebook is available where most are sold, and then the audio is on both Audible and iTunes. If you can find out on my site Lulu distributes worldwide, but there's a couple of other places, like if you're closer to me in Vancouver or Canada, or in the UK, where you can get them as well.
Oh, whereabouts are you selling it in the UK?
It's at Rock Chalks, so
Okay,
ROCKCHOCS.com. So Jenny's uh, e-commerce site. You can get them there.
fantastic. Oh, lovely. And your website address, is it sandranomoto.com?
That's correct. Yeah.
Lovely. I'll put the link below in the comments. Okay, well, thank you so much. Your book is fantastic, and it's a really good and very insightful read. Lots of interesting stories in there. I mean, personally, I think it's useful for someone, or interesting for someone, even if they're not into marketing. It's just a nice selection of stories to read. So I think it's a fantastic book.
Thank you
So
so
what?
much.
You're very welcome. So what's next for you?
Yeah, like I said, I'm getting ready to launch a few new things related to content. If you are, if you run a vegan business or you're vegan yourself, pretty soon I'll be launching a media list that might help you get in more vegan podcasts and media and such. So so just stay tuned on my website for that.
Fantastic. Useful resources for all vegan businesses.
I hope so.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been really lovely talking to you, and really insightful and useful.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on, Verity.
Thank you, and very good luck with your book.
Thank you.